we have Matt, who almost single-handedly changed how India consumes its coffee. We are majorly a tea drinking nation, and Matt has done an exceptional job with Blue Tokai coffee. So much so that I have my cup ready to have this chat with him. Let's welcome Matt. Matt, good to have you on the show.
Thanks.
Hey,
Thanks for
Matt.
having me.
Nice. I mean,
Good to see
I
you
see
too.
the design at your back. I think it's a Blue Tokai.
Yeah. We have the artwork on the walls here in our conference room. So
Who does
Give us
this
the
art for
story.
you? Yeah, who does this art?
Yeah, Art. You mentioned the story on the packets of beans and everything that comes, but tell
yeah.
us for our audience, like, what's the real story behind this art?
Yeah. So actually, this art is the brainchild of my partner, Namrata. So when we were designing the brand, we wanted to have a brand identity that was really evocative of where the coffee comes from, because people didn't know that India grew good quality coffee. I was like, Namrata, we're already paying a premium for this coffee. It's going to be expensive. We need to make the packaging really minimal, basic. She's like, no. This is really important that we have a nice looking packaging that kind of tells the story. Luckily, she won out that argument. And so we partnered with some local artisans. So this is all traditional Indian, different styles of traditional Indian art forms. We commission artists to sort of depict what they would imagine a coffee plantation looks like. So then we got this art, and then we put it across our packaging, our cups in the cafes. It became an integral part of our brand identity.
Oh, solid. I mean, it's iconic.
Yeah,
How many stores do you have now all in India?
180 in India, and then one outside right now in Tokyo. We should be opening up in Dubai by the end of this year.
Awesome. Before we go into the expansion plans, let's educate anyone who's tuning in the different waves of coffee, right? I mean, you've had the first wave, second wave, third wave, and possibly a fourth wave very soon also. So what's the journey like for the coffee industry?
Yeah, so first wave was predominantly the instant coffee, kind of the Nescafes and the Folgers, something that was very easy to use and affordable. Second wave was when coffee culture really got kind of solidified. So most of the big international coffee chains are second wave. So the likes of a Starbucks, a Costa, Coffee Bean and Tea Leaf, they would be having better quality coffee than instant, but not really the best quality. But what they did is they brought kind of the cafe culture to everybody. Part of that was kind of this idea of a third place where cafes are not just about having the coffee, but about having a place to congregate, to have meetings, to work, to socialize. Then the third wave is when people really started focusing on coffee itself. So how is that coffee grown? How is it processed? Where is it grown? Does the terroir impart particular flavors to it? So really focusing on sourcing very high quality unroasted coffee, roasting that coffee very carefully, because actually how you roast the coffee really brings out the flavors. Unroasted coffee just has flavor potential, but how you roast it determines which of those flavors come out. And then paying attention to how you brew the coffee. So upskilling baristas, teaching baristas to extract the maximum flavor from that coffee, teaching them to communicate what's unique about that coffee to customers. That's a big part of it. So really focusing on quality within the beverage itself, that's been the third wave of coffee.
Nice. And I mean, so these newer players that have cropped up, right? Who are doing these 99 rupee lattes and stuff. What's your take on them? Are they trying to replace, say, their Blue Tokai coffee, or is it just more for actually frequent consumption but lower wallet load?
Yeah, I mean, so the idea is that if you reduce the price, you're going to drive increased consumption. And I think there's a couple of challenges with that in the India context. One is that coffee itself is not yet moved to become totally functional. It's still quite experiential. So until that behavior is that I have to have a coffee, I have to have multiple cups of coffee a day, reducing the price isn't necessarily going to solve that. So essentially, people are coming to a cafe for a coffee for sure, but also for the food offering they have, the environment that they have. And the challenge with this kind of grab and go culture is that India is not set up for a grab and go, right?
Yeah.
Right. The infrastructure is not there. It's not. No one goes on and stops at a cafe, picks up a coffee, and walks to the office. Maybe in some corporate buildings that happens, but for the large majority, that doesn't exist. That behavior has mostly translated to the delivery channel. So, most cafes in India have a healthy share of their revenue coming from delivery. But this 99 rupee coffee is a hard sell because coffee prices have escalated. They're at all-time highs right now. So the margin that you're earning from that coffee is only going to be sustainable if you have incredible throughput. And
Oh, really? What's the increase in price of coffee? Sorry, we've never paid attention to that.
Yeah, so it's gone up by almost 100% in the last year. So
wow. Why?
Many factors. There's been poor weather in the large producing countries, so Brazil and Colombia. These are kind of market setters. So if the crop gets affected there, that trickles down to the commodity price. And the commodity price ultimately becomes a benchmark even here in India for what everybody pegs their selling price to. Because at the end of the day, coffee is very fungible. If I don't have domestic buyers here in India, I can easily export it. So there's not a lot of price arbitrage that can happen by being in a coffee producing country. The tariffs that the US has put on has also caused a lot of supply disruptions, which again has caused the commodity price to shoot up. But primarily it's been driven by increase in demand, particularly from coffee producing countries, developing countries. Coffee culture has really taken off in those countries, and supply being constrained by climate change.
And we want to congratulate you. You've raised 25 million as well. Now the aim is to go global. You mentioned one store that you have in Japan and now in UAE as well. Both extremely tough markets as well, right? I think Tokyo's biggest export, Arabica, of course, that's made waves across the world as well. Tell us why the reason to go to these markets and nowhere else in, say, Southeast Asia.
Yeah, so I mean, I think that press release was a little bit
exaggerated.
Yeah. Actually, we see way more opportunity here in India than any other market. I mean, to get to 800 stores in the next couple of years. So the capital was really raised more to accelerate our domestic expansion rather than to go into international markets. We've been in Japan for 3 years now. It is a very different, very challenging market for sure. Culturally, it's quite different than India. People work the working style is very different. The language is different. And you really have to be established there for many, many years before Japanese customers start to trust you. So now we're starting to see the fruits of that coming to play. And so we'll be opening up a few more locations there. With the Middle East, we see it more of an extension of India, actually. Just, there's a lot of Indians who are already aware of the brand there. There's a lot of, resonance with what we're doing, and it's a huge coffee drinking market. So actually in the Middle East, we've tied up with a partner there who's going to be doing the on the ground execution, and then we'll be supplying all the raw material and the know-how to them, and they'll be running the operations.
During the COVID era, when everyone was, I think, doing their own starters at home, and so Charlie was responsible. I think you guys were responsible for delivering some of the best sourdough bread. So how much of your business comes from delivery? Because coffee, it's not fun to order a cappuccino at home. If somebody enjoys the microfoam and other things, like it's not built for delivery. But other things are, maybe like so Charlie's products are. So what's the split in terms of your delivery?
So actually overall revenue is around 33% coming from delivery. But
33%.
33%, but actually on delivery, the skew is more towards food and less towards coffee. And in dine-in, the skew is more towards coffee and less towards food. So net, it kind of balances out to 33% of the total revenue, whereas 45% overall is coming from beverages, 40% is coming from food, and 15% is coming from the coffee and bread combined.
How do you have your coffee? And how many do you have in a day? I
normally drink Americanos because it's fast. In 30 seconds, you can brew a cup. So that's my go-to. On the weekends, I'll make a pour over, or I'll order a coffee on Zomato from the outlet and get it delivered home.